But now we turn to the second speaker, Miranda Carroll, who's also an MA candidate at the Department of Art History and Visual Studies at UVic, and her talk is entitled Art as Instrument, Exploring Urban Sonic Spaces in Étienne Paquette's Instrument Avant.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here in this beautiful, calming, quiet space, which I'll talk about more. So I will be investigating Étienne Paquette's Instrument Avant in relation to sonic and visual spaces that sound installations occupy. A sound installation is a sculptural work of art with a sonic component, sometimes music. And in these works, sonic and visual spaces are connected. And by harnessing this connection, artists, architects, musicians, and urban planners can work together to make more visually and sonically beautiful urban spaces. And this connects quite well to the presentation we saw yesterday with Jeffrey Rubinoff's White Oaks project as well, I was sort of thinking. So to begin, the sound of noise is inextricable from our modern world. In fact, it's been argued that noise is modernity manifest in an audible form. So just as weeds are plants where we do not want them to grow, noise is a disturbing sound where we do not care to hear it. And looking at these images taken over 100 years apart, we can all imagine the whirring, shouting, honking sounds of a busy urban corner. However, I ask, is our relationship to noise changing? Is it possible through works of sound installation to see noise not as a representation of unpredictable and overwhelming urban development, but an opportunity for artistic, musical, and architectural innovation? And how through approaches for the creation of enduring sound installation can we imagine adding pleasant sound rather than abating unpleasant noise? So here's the piece that I'm focusing on from 2018, Instrument Avant. It was displayed in Montreal, Quebec at the Quartier des Spectacles during the summer of 2019. And this work is made up of 6 28-foot tall steel ventilation tubes that are painted in bright orange and purple and contain software and speakers. The electroacoustic technology captures urban ambient audio frequencies from the environment in which the piece is situated in real time and transposes them onto the musical spectrum as harmonies that are outputted as music for the public to hear. Inspired by John Cage, who commented on the impossibility of silence, the artist, Paquette, has stated that with this work he wants to make an interprétation active du bruit, or an active interpretation of noise. And this work directly solicits audience engagement with a sign asking viewers to speak or sing into the foremost pipe to make a sonic imprint on their surroundings. So rather than saying silent, this work encourages people to make noise and be active participants in their environments. Just as a mural can make an urban space more visually beautiful, this work adds music to downtown Montreal with the intention of creating a more sonically pleasant environment. Paquette creates a work that takes up both visual and sonic space simultaneously. The shape of the Instrument Avant itself is reminiscent of organ pipes, and as such visually connects art and music through form. And the title of the work is playing on the notion of a woodwind instrument. Art becomes an instrument, and the sound produced becomes art. And here, Paquette demonstrates how his art installation can be a musical instrument, and that can then become instrumental in urban planning with regards to remediating post-industrial revolution din. So, Instrument Avant recognizes and comments on a tradition of concern over noise generated by people and machines and urban environments that began in the 20th century. So, in 1935, the Anti-Noise League of England held an exhibition called Noise Abatement at the London Museum of Natural Science. And they campaigned for the reduction of needless traffic, motor, and domestic loudspeaker noise. And on the screen's an image from the Anti-Noise League calling for the elimination of urban noise. The Industrial Revolution really fundamentally changed the way the world sounded with the introduction of sounds of war machines, gramophones, airplanes, and things like that. And soon noise became associated with lower classes, with industry. Noise infringed on the quiet office space where men would do sort of intellectual work. And I have an image here of noise that's generated by a female secretary. And she says, "Be quiet a minute." It sort of shows gendered aspects of sound as well. So here I have a quotation, and in this quotation, Paquette states that his work is inspired by this quest for silence in spaces where sound is omnipresent. Continuing, he states that if noise cannot be eliminated, we should play with urban sounds. And Paquette's deeply inspired by his surroundings in this site-specific work that functions as a musical instrument. The relationship between instrument avant and its cultural context can be better understood when analyzed through ethnomusicological frameworks. So according to Stephen Broad and Nick Beach, the study of ethnomusicology resists attempts to abstract music from the social context in which it's created. Ethnomusicology is concerned with the meanings and significance of music and musical instruments, and how they can reflect or construct culture and community. The music created by instrument avant plays the sounds of the city back to the people as they pass, and in that way, the artist directly comments on his sonic landscape. The interactive nature of this work asks the individuals to leave a sonic mark. And this framework shows the cultural significance of instrument avant, demonstrating changing relationships between people and urban noise, as the artist is no longer concerned about noise abatement. And in Montreal, where this work is displayed, there's an ongoing project called Sounds in the City, comprised of professionals from the field, from McGill University, and it aims to understand urban sound and asks how we can begin to think differently. The project argues that we see sound as noise, as was asserted by the Anti-Noise League of the 20th century, and they assert that contemporary noise abatement strategies aim to make cities sound less bad without thinking of the possibility that they can sound good. Sounds such as moving water, birdsong, conversation, and music can contribute positively to these spaces, and they can support general well-being. So this group puts this idea of the soundscape, a user-centered approach to reframe urban sound design. And the soundscape is a deviation from traditional noise mitigation, as it adds rather than removes sound. So, assuming that our contemporary relationship to sound is changing as demonstrated through instrument avant sounds in the city, how can we integrate music and art together with urban design to create enduring sound installations that improve urban sonic spaces? In his article about sonic placemaking from the Journal of Organized Sound, Jordan Lacey establishes 3 approaches for the creation of enduring sound installations. He says there's electroacoustic sound, elemental, and resonant sound. And I'll explore these approaches using 2 new examples of sound installations, which I've plotted on the diagram, to show the emerging ways in which sound is produced by installations in urban spaces where noise abatement is no longer a primary concern. So the first is elemental sound, and this is a sound installation where elements such as wind or water generate sound with no amplification. For example, this work's called Paley Park. It opened in 1967 and was designed by Robert Zion as one of the first privately owned public spaces of respite in New York City, and the water feature at the back uses elemental sound to sort of mask urban sounds of New York to create a sensory calming experience. And this is an example of resonant sound, and this is when open-ended tubes or pipes or resonance from structural vibrations produce sound. So here's Sea Organ, which is in Croatia, was designed by Nikola Basic, and it's an organ built into steps that descend into the Adriatic Sea. And the movements of waves push air through the holes in the steps into pipes, which then create random musical sounds based on the temperament of the sea. Here, music offers visitors a sonic connection to their environment, while instrument avant aims to comment directly on concerns over urban noise, as does Paley Park. Sea Organ addresses climate change as the rising of the sea caused by the tides encourages viewers to contemplate rising sea levels. These works of public sound installation therefore draw attention to key social issues, acting as a reminder of human impact on the earth, whether it be physical or sonic, while also remediating sonic spatial concerns. And finally, we have electroacoustic sound, which is when new sonic environments are generated through speech and sound playback technology. Instrument avant is an example of this, and this kind of sound installation is where this kind of sound is the primary mode of sound creation through the software and the speakers. And this piece encourages passersby to engage with the sounds of their city, empowering them to be present in their space. And this becomes not only a fusion of media, but also a powerful tool for urban design, reflecting on ongoing concerns and making these sonic spaces better for everyone. So to conclude, I was thinking about having grown up in the Greater Toronto Area. I don't have this romantic nostalgia for silence of pre-industrial times. And like many city dwellers, I don't have a reference for life, urban city life, without this kind of din. And instrument avant, Paquette recognizes that urban life is no longer in opposition to noise, and sound installations show the possibility for harmony with noise. Artists such as Étienne Paquette recognize that noise is a part of our life, and through work like his, urban designers can engage artistic alternatives to historical noise abatement strategies. And this is not to say that noise abatement should be abandoned. Of course, there's other people that are implicated, for example, the whales in the water that surround us by sonar and boats and things like that. But it rather says that noise can be recognized as sound or music, and it's a sound that sort of stands as the context of our culture.